Welcome to Fair Game. I'm Kristine Leahy. My guest today is a former NFL quarterback that currently mentors some of the top young quarterbacks all the way from junior high to the NFL. He's also a college football analyst for Fox Sports. Carson Palmer, it's so good to meet you.
Same to meet you, too.
You and I have something in common. I played an instrument growing up. I played the saxophone. You played the violin and kept it going all the way through high school, right?
I did.
How do you balance being, and I can say this because I was a geek too, a band geek and a football player at the same time?
I think the technical term was actually bando. And
bando?
Yeah, bando, which
Okay.
was even worse to hear that. But no, so funny. I mean, it was started off as one of those things that you had to do when you were little. You had to pick an instrument, and my mom kind of pushed me towards that. And the longer I played it, the cooler it was that I was kind of the only athlete doing it. And definitely a question I haven't been asked in a while, so that's a good way to start it off for sure.
But you were able to balance it just fine, the two worlds?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I played a bunch of sports. I was never really great at anything. I was just like kind of okay at a bunch of different things. And so I played a bunch of sports and tried to take school seriously, and orchestra became this, it started off as an instrument, then it became orchestra, then it became symphony. And as you get older.
You were in the symphony?
I played till my senior year in high school, and we were pretty good. And
wow.
And so it was just another thing that I tried to take serious and was okay at, but it was fun kind of pursuing it.
Were you best at football?
Yeah, I would say best at football. I mean, I did like student body too, something like student council, whatever you want to call it. And I remember doing like the morning announcements and taking that really serious and trying to get awesome at it.
Wait, like on the loudspeaker, you were the one giving the announcements?
It was video, yeah. I mean, like we had the morning announcements.
Oh, was it like a
every day.
TV show?
Yeah, yeah. Diablo
Wow.
Heat for Mission Viejo Diablos.
Look at you.
I think all those things. But on football, I mean, I had one offer coming out of high school. We were one of the best teams in the country, and I was probably the fifth or sixth best guy on my team. Not being humble, that was a fact. And I just kind of ended up getting chances to play. But like I said, I was just kind of like okay at a bunch of things, and always had a bunch of things on my plate and enjoyed pursuing all of them.
Well, you said it. You had one offer out of high school. Meanwhile, your brother is obviously Carson Palmer. And he was Heisman Trophy winner, first overall pick, top high school quarterback in his class.
He was just the gold medal winner and all of the things.
So for you, as his little brother, like, did you grow up thinking, okay, I want to get out of his shadow? How did you get out of his shadow? Or it wasn't like that for you?
No, it was tough. I think when I was young, it was heavy. The shadow that was cast was heavy. It was a lot. I was 4.5 years younger, right? So he leaves high school and I come in as a freshman. So naturally the expectations is that the younger brother is going to be just as good or better.
Yeah, I imagine just the last name alone and having that pressure on you, especially when you're just going into high school, is a ton. Did you ever think, you know what, I'm not even gonna play football because I don't wanna deal with that and I am so good at these other things?
No, I mean, he was like my idol growing up. I'd watch him when I was in middle school, watching him on Friday nights. And I train these kids now, like when you're in 7th grade, you don't want to be Tom Brady. Tom Brady's your dad's age. Like that's so far away. You kind of want to be the high school guy. And so for me, having somebody 4.5 years older than me, it just was always that carrot. And what he was doing always looked awesome and fun. And it looked like a worthy pursuit. And so I think that's really why I ended up continuing to play football. And, I had one offer to a school that was not my first choice.
Yeah. What was your first choice?
It's funny. I wanted to go to Arizona State. Arizona State or Texas were the two schools. So random, so different, all that. But I vividly remember this. So Carson's true freshman year, he's playing at USC. They play in the Sun Bowl, which is in El Paso, against TCU, running backs LaDainian Tomlinson. And I remember standing in the crowd with my dad. We had just spent 2 days in El Paso, and me going, who would ever go to college here? Why would anybody ever go to college here? And like 4 or 5 years later, that's my only offer.
Wow.
So,
did you ever think maybe I'm not going to take it? I'd rather go somewhere else I want to go?
Well, it was a whole story about me thinking that I was going to go to Boise State, and it may sound like a random story, but if you think about it, this was the time before Boise State anybody had ever heard of Boise State, and what that coach Dan Hawkins was telling me he was going to do, he ended up doing all of it. So I was just gonna go and try and be that guy that was gonna go on the crazy Boise State turnaround.
Yeah.
Something happened last minute. I ended up at UTEP, and ended up being like the best thing that happened to me, I think.
Oh, so it was fine
It was
in
great.
the end.
Yeah, I think it's all meant to be. And now coaching, I realize that everything is really you're just on a journey. Now with quarterbacks, I can make it very specific about your quarterback journey, but I think all of us are. I can go real cliche and get real cheesy here, but the reality is we're just on a journey. There's peaks and there's valleys, and how you navigate that, who you bring alongside you, how you deal with a couple of inevitabilities, one being success and one being adversity, is essentially how your journey's gonna go. But I've yet to see the journey where everything was awesome and perfect, and then at the very end you got all the money in the championship. Like, I haven't seen that one yet.
And this is all part of what you work with quarterbacks on now. That's what you're doing. And you're perfect for it because you were with 6 different NFL teams. So you definitely understand the landscape of the NFL really well. And you've worked with Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Kyle Allen, some of the best quarterbacks around right now, some of the best young ones. How do you prepare them to deal with the pressure that comes along with going to the NFL?
Well, I just think it's a continuation of what they've already experienced. And the unique proposition that I have is that I have a very, very unique vantage point over football. So I had one offer, 6th-round pick, ups and downs, a lot of downs. Got cut right away, signed an arena deal, then got cut, and then went here, and then went just all over the place. But I also, like I mentioned with Carson, I backed up Carson for 4 years. Like I know as much about what it takes to be #1 recruit, Heisman Trophy winner, #1 pick, franchise guy, as you can. I know as much about that as you can know without having been that person. So being able to have that vantage point, there's just very few things I haven't either seen, experienced, or heard about. And with some of these guys that you've mentioned, and the Deshaun Watson and the Patrick Mahomes, these guys who nowadays quarterback is very, very different than it used to be. These guys, when they get to the NFL, it's not as much new as you'd think. It's a continuation of what they've already been experiencing.
What do you mean, like actual football or the off the field stuff?
I think all of it.
Okay.
So the game in the NFL is getting simpler. On offense. They're running more stuff from college, which is coming from high school. So there's one intersection. The other intersection is that nowadays, if you're a top high school quarterback, you're dealing with very similar pressures that NFL franchise quarterbacks are. Social media, which was not around 20 years ago.
True.
The expectations to throw 5 touchdowns every week, to crush every team that you play, to be perfect all the time, to never get in trouble, to never do anything stupid when you're at a party, when you're with friends, to be on all the time. Look, when Carson was the #1 recruit in the country, there was no internet, let alone Instagram.
Yeah.
There's no camera phones. And so by the time these kids that are high school kids right now, DJ Ugalecki from St. John Bosco, Bryce Young from Mater Dei, there's the kids who are going to Clemson and Alabama. By the time those guys get to the NFL, it's going to be not that different than what they're experiencing right now as 18-year-olds.
Check out our YouTube channel, FairGame on FS1 to catch all the best highlights of our show. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode.